Hey guys, welcome to the first ever episode of Ceasefire. I'm Caleb,
I'm John.
and today we're going to be talking about some Warhammer 40k meta news and our opinions on 10th edition as it stands now. So if we want to start off, we're going to be starting with the stat screen for all the armies in 40k and how they're doing competitively, our thoughts on our own armies, and yeah, we'll just get into it. This is all going to be our opinions, except for the stats themselves. Those are actual stats. We didn't write this. But our opinions on everything, how we feel, and in the second half of this, we're going to be talking about 10th edition in general and our feelings on it. This is very much me and John just kind of venting about the game. So,
Yep, and our
starting us
opinion
out,
on where our
go ahead.
factions kind of stand as well. So, like,
Yep.
out of all the playing we've done, because we usually
Yep.
play weekly games, so it helps with the good standing of who you do good against and who do you do well or worse against.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, starting off, I think everyone in the meta knows, and anyone who's been playing 40k, Eldari are on top and absolutely are dominating. And this is even after the patch for Strands of Fate. That they're still 70% win rate,
Yep,
which is absolutely insane.
and that's 675 games played of them, and with 133 different players.
So they are by far none on top. And surprisingly, coming in second is Gene Stealer Cult, which I
I
never saw coming.
I'm not too surprised. After I watched a couple videos on them. They do a lot of buff stacking. So it's not that you have a good unit; it's that you have too many good buffs. If that makes any sense, that can be spread out amongst everything.
Do they run a lot of auras and stuff?
Yeah. So like if you shoot one thing over here to the other thing, your next thing that shoots at it gets a bonus to shoot at it. Whether it be like +1 to
Oh,
wound or +1 to hit or like +1 AP, and it starts stacking. So like this thing that you shoot gives it like +1 to wound, and then this thing you shoot gets +1 to AP, and then this one shoot. So like the next
wow.
time like the third thing shoots it, you're like lumping them with even basic guns.
That's insane. Okay, I didn't know that. That is amazing.
Yeah, I'm
So,
not sure about all the buffs, but that's definitely how they work. So,
yeah. And
oof.
then so for third, Imperial Knights doesn't surprise me with I think they will go down as the tournaments continue to adjust their boards and really figure out what they need for line of sight blocking with the towering rules.
Yeah, I'm so far what we found. I don't think it's a problem with our terrain. So I don't see it as a major issue. I think it was also some of their rulings as those get toned back. Because
Yeah.
as of today, I'm gonna date this video or the podcast. They just FAQ'd it, so you only reroll one. That's
Oh,
big
yep.
and important.
You only get one reroll instead of the multiples. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So rather than rerolling all ones to hit, you only reroll one to hit.
Oh,
Same
wow.
thing. Same thing with wound.
That,
You only get to
that's a
reroll
pretty
one
big
wound,
nerf.
and it's a one wound of one, I should say, and a one roll
Is
hit
that per
of one.
unit?
Yes, that would be per unit.
Okay. Well, that is toned back a lot, but
Yeah,
hey, you know
that
what? It's a free reroll, so
it is a free reroll, but it used to be all ones and all ones of hits and wounds. So that's very
wow, they just
big.
had full rerolls. Yeah, that
So
is a really big
I'm
cutback.
expecting them drop down to like that 50% tile as long as they're played with the correct train. Uh,
Yeah.
I feel like that puts them into a decent, maybe not 50, but it'd be still high 50s.
Yeah, which I mean, they're right on the cut of being really good because like 55% is 45 to 55% is where most people want to see army win rates at because like that's a pretty good middle ground and they're only at 58 right now, which isn't terrible
Mm-hmm.
for overly powered, whereas like the jump to Gene Stealer Cult and Eldari is like 66 and 70% is insane. So I don't think Imperial Knights are too overpowered. I do think it's just going to be terrain layout, and they'll with that nerf, they probably will drop down to like 50, 51%.
I think they'll stay at maybe like a 54, 50, 53 because of the train. I feel like it's the early edition. We need to figure out new train.
Yeah. And so we can talk about our armies a bit, and actually speaking of our armies, we can talk about the two lowest ranking factions, one of them being the lowest ever in Warhammer history, I believe, at 28% win rate for Leagues of Votann.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's so low.
I'm so glad I
And
didn't buy them now.
yeah, seriously. And I actually don't know why they're doing so bad. I have not looked into any of their rules. because we had no intention of getting the army, and really apparently now playing against it because I don't think anyone's going to.
The player count on them, they have 23 individual players in the tournaments with 135 games. So that's a lot of games. Not too many players, but that's a lot of games played at a 28%. So I don't think it's down to a skill player. I think they're probably overcosted. They probably didn't drop into the points cost with the new edition. And
Yeah.
I'm assuming their rules just got hit like everybody else's rules. Like nothing is as strong as it used to be. So you just kind of got smacked to the side a little bit. And your points didn't drop.
Surprisingly, this is very against what GW normally does with these armies, because usually for an edition and then a beginning part of a next edition, they're usually really strong. So I feel like people are more willing to buy them.
Yeah, or they flop units, so like the ones that didn't sell well get sold better. Yep. Or like just that ones that didn't perform as well perform better the next edition, I should also say. Usually why they don't sell well.
But now, like, there's nothing good in that army. Like I don't think they have anything that's like, they have a 0-4-0 events, and like that's no event wins, 0 event wins with it. Like that's insane to see an army this new do that bad.
Well, event wins is major, like those are like GTs and plus, right? So.
But like I said, for a new army, usually there's at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, I like. It's still early in the edition. Maybe they'll get one eventually, but
I'm hoping that. Well, the thing we can talk about this part later, but like GW's balancing, we're not going to see a balance patch for a while.
Yeah, September I think is when it's coming.
So, like they get to suck a little bit longer, and we can move up to Death Guard next. An army I love and True and Tried love to play. This new edition with them has made me not want to touch them. They are so bad. And it's not bad, and they're not bad because like the models are bad or like their base rules suck ass.
Yeah, like not having the -1 damage from the old edition and just getting you get to hold objectives. That's your thing, right?
Yep. We have sticky objectives, and then those objectives produce our auras. Which
the auras is kind of cool. The sticky objective is kind of garbage.
Sticky, well, especially since a lot of armies can get sticky objectives.
Yeah, by paying CP or like ability on a unit.
Yep, and then there's missions that just give sticky objectives.
Yep.
So why would I want that as an army rule? It is so bad.
It is.
And then we still have our Plague Aura, which I think is super cool. Contagion range is awesome. I think the -1 toughness really makes the army hit harder than it should. But the problem is now, with everything having inflated toughness when it comes to vehicles and stuff, it feels worse.
Mm-hmm.
Because like going from most monsters and vehicles are T9 through like T14, and -1 toughness on that really isn't going to do anything except for maybe me wounding on 5s instead of 6s.
Yeah, I still think it should be -1 strength, -1 strength, -1 toughness.
Do both. That would be really interesting too.
Yeah, I think that would be a good spark.
And what's the worst part is, there's so many things out there that have feel no pains. It is so hard to get feel no pains in Death Guard. You can put a Plague Surgeon in a group of Plague Marines, and I believe that gives them a feel no pain. Or you can take the Demon Prince without wings, and he gives an aura of 6 inch of 6 of feel no pains.
For those who don't know, in 8th edition, your army rule was 5-up feel no pain.
Yep. And then 9th edition was the -1 damage, which statistically was better. I actually did enjoy it more, and it made me roll less. But
Caleb
give me my feel no. I did.
Yeah.
I was skeptical because the numbers were still weird, but the meta did turn into a very strong 2 damage force that Death Guard just got to laugh at.
Yep.
And then now, having no durability buff, our armies don't do anything, and it shows. Like, our Terminators die so easily. Our Plague Marines are god-awful. Like, yeah, I get all of my cool upgrades, but that doesn't matter if they don't survive. I can put them in a Rhino, the Rhino gets blown up, and they get out, and then they die. Like, there's very, very little chance. I'll probably play them again soon, because I want to play them against something that isn't Custodies.
Yeah.
And that see how they fare. Yes,
playing multiple Custodia games made Caleb just want to hate life. I understand. Bad matchup.
We probably should pull Custodies back on the channel too eventually, so that we can play Custodies versus some of the armies
I
that
want
they
to play Custodes versus Eldari, since those are our top factions that Mason wants to play Eldari, and I can always play against the Custodes. So we were setting that up. I just don't know when it's going to happen.
sweet. So yeah, and I wouldn't mind playing Custodes against orcs. Or did we do that?
I think no. Did I play Necrons versus Orcs?
I think it was Necrons.
I think I played Necrons. I played a lot of Necrons lately. You know what?
I think Astra would be cool. I think almost any of our armies, because with how good Custodes actually are, like yeah, they're not like insane, but they're still really good. I think
feel
it'd
like
be good.
they're at
That's
a
a good
good
meta watch for
yeah.
it.
They're so we'll go back to the top now. So Custodes sitting at what fourth in MetaWatch, 55%. For the average is that win rate, right? Yeah, win rate, 55%. They have a total of 610 games played with 113 different players. Yeah, they're feeling good. I don't think they need huge nerfs. They might need a couple fixes, like some edge case stuff. Maybe a rebalance on a couple points here and there, but like the bikes are terrible. But like that's just a bad unit in them. Everyone has those.
Yeah.
For the most part, everything feels good. I wish the dreadnoughts felt better because I like playing the all Custody dreadnought, but that's personal opinion. It's currently troops are bust.
What do you feel like the dreadnoughts what they're lacking?
They're expensive. They're expensive and they don't do that much. So like they can't hold objectives as much as a squad of troops because you pay more for a dreadnought than you do for I believe a 3-man or a 4-man, and 4-man is the same OC of it and does more damage. If that makes any sense.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So your basic Custodes do way better. Dreadnought does have higher toughness, but like its invul is worse depending on which one you pick, and like I don't know. There's just some things that need to be tweaked about it.
And then you also have lack of stratagems for those dreadnoughts too, don't you?
Yes, because they're not a battle line, or like I don't think it's a lack of stratagems. I might be able to spend it on the
Can you do the -1 damage on them?
I might be able to. I'd have to double check the actual rules. It's been a while since I played them.
I will say comparatively to getting I think that's a 2 CP strat for free on your units is really, really good. So why would I want to spend that on the dreadnought when I can just have it for free on my other units?
With my captain? Yep.
Yeah.
The captain's just too good. You have to take at least one captain, and then Trajan, because the Trajan can give you a free fight first.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm happy to say that there are at least some of my armies that are doing well. Because like my orcs are doing well, my Deathwatch is doing well, which is surprising to me. Well, it's not surprising. Deathwatch is so bad last edition that thank gosh they're doing good now. Like Deathwatch felt so bad, and they felt super, super complicated. Now they don't feel as complicated, but they're not what I want Deathwatch to be.
So for those who aren't watching on our YouTube, Deathwatch have a 47% win rate with 114 games played and an 18 player count. So not too many players. They do not have a lot of players.
No, they don't. Deathwatch is such a I feel like it's very niche. People who play them want a specific thing out of Space Marines because a lot of people like making their one unit, like this unit shines for doing this one thing, whereas I feel like a lot of us Deathwatch players want our units to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, with how kill teams work and stuff like that, I feel like they don't get to do that. You don't get to do everything in a unit. I feel like you either have to make them really strong one way or really strong the other. I think the only ones, the Proteus kill teams that allow you to take Deathwatch veterans and Terminators in the same group are the only ones that I think you can really split up, because you can take 4 Infernus heavy bolters and 4 dreadnoughts, Terminators with Thunderhammer Storm Shields, making that group really tanky, really good in melee, and shoot pretty okay. Like there are death balls, and those feel pretty good. Every other kill team feels awful. Like the Indomitor kill teams don't do anything because they limit the number of things you can take in them. Because like you can only take 2 Eradicators, you can only take two the Flame Gauntlet guys with the Boltstorm Gauntlet guys. They really limited what you can actually take in those groups to make them not feel as good, which sucks to me. But a thing I do find interesting is that in the group that is just the regular Space Marines and the Outriders you can take with them, if the rest of the group dies, those Outriders are still infantry.
Oh yeah.
Because that says the way the ruling is read, that group, everything in that unit is counted as infantry no matter what.
Yeah, because it's a data card now. That's
Yep.
part of the data card system.
And so I think that's really cool because you can have bikers do weird things again, but you can only take 2 of them in a group.
Yeah,
And then they also lose all of their other cool abilities, and
you
so
can't split them off. That's the biggest thing.
And so you're stuck with 2 bikers that are really slow in a unit
Until
when
the
they're
unit
meant
dies.
to be fast.
Yeah, until the unit dies.
Which is I don't know. If that feels kind of bad to me, with not being able to split units apart anymore. I get why they did it. I feel like some things should still be able to do it and some things shouldn't, maybe, but
well, you can.
That's
You
just me.
killed the rest of the stuff in the unit by getting it out of range, coherency.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
it makes you
spending
hard
points.
choices.
I don't. Well, especially now though, like that might be something I'd consider if you could take 5 bikes in that group, but you can only take 2, and that's not worth it.
Oh yeah, but it makes a hard choice during the game. I meant. So
Yeah.
like if you can get to an objective with your bike, but you risk like, let's say your squad's
Losing.
already half dead, you're losing the rest of your squad. You know what I mean? Like, is it worth getting to that point? It might be towards the end of the game. That might just be a free. Oh, I'll take the next time I need to roll a battle shock test just to lose the rest of the guys.
Yeah, like it could be cheeky in some circumstances, but just overall in general, I feel like it feels not Death Watchy.
Yeah.
But I'm sure some people will disagree with that. But that's just how I feel playing. But I only started playing them last edition, and I thought they were really cool because you could make super unique units.
So your
to do super cool things.
Your orcs are also floating at 7% win rate, and then that's out of 238 games with 42 players. Also, not a lot of players, but
at least not a lot of players in tournaments. I do think people are steering away from orcs because they don't do what they should do as well as they should. So melee this edition to me just feels really like kind of meh, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
And orcs as a shooting army right now actually can do some pretty interesting stuff with some flash gits and their Captain Badruck makes a really devastating force inside of a battle wagon with Ardcase and a cannon on top of it, I believe is what you can do with it. And that just makes a mobile platform that just destroys things. Gazgul feels really bad right now because, you can put him in a group of Meganobs, but now that he can't go in trucks and like you can't really put him in a battle wagon. Like you can put him in a battle wagon, but you don't really get any other space. He's not worth taking, I don't think, because just how expensive he is.
Can you deep strike the Meganobs?
No.
I know Tarmies can, so they're the equivalent.
Nope, you can't.
I mean, you could strategic reserve them.
Yeah, but strategic reserve a unit like that, because especially with WOG being advance and charge, you don't need to. I think putting Meganobs inside, because like right now, Meganobs with what is their the custom force field guy, Big Mech and Mega Armor.
Yes.
There we go. Putting him in the group with them, giving them a 4-up invul, and him rezzing a model, that is like the scariest group you can run. And having that inside of a truck that has a 6-up invulnerable save now, so you can just kind of brush off some shots. It's a little bit harder to kill to one shot, and them being I think they're T9, so it's not like really hard to like kill them, but they still have some durability. And then wogging, getting out, moving, advancing, shooting, and charging with a 4-up invul.
Is it 4? I thought it was 5.
It's a 4-up.
Oh.
It is a 4-up invul, 2-up armor save, T5, and strength 5. Well, actually, with their weapons, I think they're strength 8. Now, I have a gripe. Why the hell do my Meganobs, first off, hit in melee on 4s, and also only have 2 attacks?
Yep.
Someone fix that. That is some bullshit.
Did you look? Did they fix that today?
No.
Rip.
They have twin kill saws. They should have at least the minimum of 3 attacks.
Agreed.
And then let me hit on 3s. Because they're a normal thing, because they used to, knobs, I believe. I think knobs hit on 2s.
And then
And they go to -1 with the bigger weapons, so they're hitting on 3s.
Yep, so I feel you on that.
So why do my Mega Knobs hit on 4s? Like, fuck you. And with the not really getting a lot of rerolls in Orcs, that's kind of devastating. Now, I will say, they still one-shot stuff. Gaz doesn't give rerolls.
Oh, he doesn't anymore?
I don't believe so.
I thought that was your one reroll guy, because like Shadow Sun for Tau is the one reroll person for my entire army.
No, I don't believe he gives rerolls at all. Which, unless he's leading, maybe if he's leading a group, but I can tell you that here in a second, though.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I just feel like that Mega Knobs are like one of our best units, and yet still needs some work. Now, another cool thing is a Beast Boss with some boys, with some Beast Snagga boys, is really cool, because they just get to be kind of up there and doing things. Another amazing knobs are actually really good now, which is wild to me, because for as long as I've been playing Orcs, they've never been good. But you can take a blob of 10 knobs with Power Claws, and have them leading with a War Boss, and they one-shot almost anything they touch. Like, it is gross. Alright, so Gazgul adds 1 to hit and wound rolls when he's leading a unit.
Oh, okay.
And then he gives an aura if you're within 12 inches of Makari, lethal hits.
Okay. So no rerolls. Rip.
No rerolls. I don't think there's really rerolls inside of Orcs at all, because Gaz used to give rerolls, because War Bosses would give +1 to hit.
They did say this was the addition. They're getting rid of a lot of rerolls,
which I'm cool with. I'm okay with rerolls being gone for the most part, except for Space Marines, where they get to pick a target and reroll everything.
Or Eldari.
That makes them very deadly. Well, Eldari now they've toned them back a lot.
Fair. But you know,
maybe not as much as they should be.
They're still recovering on that percentage.
Yeah. So John, you want to talk about your Tau?
Let's go to Necron, since they're right bunched up with your Death Watch.
Oh, yeah, they are.
They're right there at that 50%. Death Watch at 45. So 50% Necrons, 528 games played with 96 players.
They do have an event win.
They feel good. Yeah, they do have a event win, which is big, because like there's not that many events that have gone on.
Yep.
And I don't know. I love how they play. You give up secondaries is part of your issue. You're actually fixed secondaries, because you take so many characters. Almost every list I built, I think I give up over 20 points to the assassinate as a fix. So it's almost like you're giving them almost a guaranteed like 20 to 30 points, and then they can try to play the do 2 actions on 2 objectives, or do it in the center type thing. They can play the actual fixed and just win on you on that.
And I will say that it does come into play, because your Necrons are really tanky if they're built right. Mm-hmm. And like having like your what are your spear boys? Your
the Cryptex, or not Cryptex. They're
no, the unit of 10.
Yep. Lichguard. There we go.
Lichguard. Yep. Thank you. Those things are gross with the 2 5-up Feel No Pains. No, 4 is it 4-up Feel No Pains?
So it's the Crypto Thralls with the 4-up Feel No Pains, and then the Technomancer in the group to give them a 5-up Feel No Pain. So if they Crypto Thralls die, you can still get a 5-up Feel No Pain.
Yep.
And then just a Lord inside of it with a Res Orb. They come back on each turn. You spend CP on them. You spend the free CP after spending the CP on them. And you should be getting D3 +1 back. Ignore some of my games I play.
Yeah, they're disgusting. And I think there's only been one game that they've ever been truly wiped, and that was versus me. And what was I playing? It was Death Watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Death Watch. That was the first time they ever got wiped. The full unit with characters.
Yep, that was the first time ever, and it took me 2 turns to do it, I think.
Yes, because the character, when the character split, one of them still lived.
Yep. And that group took all of my army shooting and most of its melee.
Yep.
Like, they were disgusting. And I'm so glad that Necrons have something like that now, because they used to not.
Yeah, because it was just a blob of 20 warriors. So like you would play the horde game. You can't kill my horde because they keep coming back.
Yep.
Rather
so now
than
you have
here's
a
my
blob.
tanky.
You have a death ball.
Yeah, we have
And
one.
don't
one
get
death
me
ball.
wrong. Huh?
We have one death ball. It's kind of
Yep.
like 3 death balls if you really wanted to.
Yeah. And the thing that's scary too about them is they hit so hard.
Oh yeah.
Like, they swing back like a truck.
Yeah. So if if Necrons had a fight first, they would easily be up there with Custodes if they had a fight first stratagem.
Yeah, I agree. I think they would be top tier, like, just with that one thing. And the thing with Necrons too is they have good shooting too.
Yep.
Like,
The Locust
horde
heavy
shooting.
destroyers. If I've been only taking the anti-vehicle weapon on them because I just love it too much. They have an anti-infantry gun, and that thing is
Really?
sick. I really want to play it one time. I didn't glue them on, so I can actually take them, put their gun on, and I might magnetize and do stuff for them later. But I have them pushed to fit right now. They are sick. They're low points. They come back because you have 3 of them in one group. You can have 3 groups of 3. 45 points a model. I mean, like, they're cheap. That's great shooting. They move 7 inches. They are mounted, so you can't move through walls, but they fly.
Yeah, and, yeah, they're. I think from what I've seen, we just haven't played a lot of good armies that they've actually been able to shine with their anti-tank weapons. Because like Deathwatch didn't have, I didn't take any vehicles.
Space Wolves, they had vehicles, and it felt bad. He had to kill him turn 1, no, or turn 2 or 3. After I popped him out to start shooting stuff, he had to kill him, and he did.
Really?
Yep. Every time he had a chance, he popped them if they were out.
Yeah, they're a cool unit, and especially with, like, how I think tough the meta is going to be with, like, against knights and stuff like that. 2 groups of 3 of the anti-tank and then 1 group of 3 with the anti-infantry, I think might be a really cool call.
Yeah, or even just 1 group of 3 with the anti-tank, and then you lead it with the specific lord in there. It gives them extra bonuses, and then the 2 groups of the anti-infantry just spread out.
Well, I think your army in general has enough anti-infantry just with your warrior blobs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I guess, do you have long range, I guess?
Not long range. Those guys are my long range, if that makes sense.
I think a single group of 3, or maybe a group of 3 anti-tank and a group of 3 anti-infantry would be cool, but
it would be.
I think that's be something to play around with, but they're really cool.
The biggest thing with them, this is the first time in a long time, all of their characters almost feel great to play. Maybe not like every single individual character, but like the points cost of them are low enough so we can have a bunch of characters, because that's what Necrons are all about. It's like, I have this lord, he's got this crypt tech that works with them, and then you build up your entire like structure of your army off of that. It's like you have your whole hierarchy with it, and it's nice to finally be able to take enough characters to lead each group of like Necrons, because that's what Necrons want. They don't want to be by themselves. They want to have a leader telling them what to do, because the normal warriors are supposed to be brainless. Like, they've lost their soul. They're completely robots at that point.
Yeah, so I think Necrons are in a pretty cool place right now. They're fun to play. They're fun to play against. They don't feel super oppressive.
That's why we've been playing them so much.
Yep. Now, I will say my next army for Astra Militarum, I really enjoy this army. The nerfs that they just took, though, from the indirect fire, just GW just going, hey, you guys are, indirect fire is really good, so we're just going to raise the point cost by like 10 or 15% on every model. Good luck. That's kind of annoying, but I think Astra's in a cool place. They don't show as great because they're at 42% win rate, with 348 games played with a 58 player count. So they're represented pretty well. Their win rate's a little lower than what we'd like to see, but with indirect fire being nerfed and everything, it's not surprising, because their whole army is just take indirect fire and then have a couple infantry around to score objectives. I think the new Kazakin models that they came out with are god-awful. That's just my opinion. I hate them. I'd much rather run Militarum Tempesta Scions and run them in blobs that deep strike around the map to do objectives, and then maybe a big blob of them to drop down and total out a unit. The only thing that kind of sucks is if you deep strike in a unit, you can't do orders on them, which is really unfortunate. So, because since orders are only done in the command phase now, there's no options. Like if you get out, like they used to, if you got out of a vehicle, you can issue an order and stuff like that. You can't do that anymore, which is rough. But I think they're in a good spot. I like them a lot.
Yeah, I think so. I just double checked before the nerf. They were doing worse, but I just don't think there was enough games in there, because you
Yeah.
could have just had a couple bad tournaments. Being at 42 definitely is probably because of the nerf. They were probably sitting closer to 50% before the nerf.
I would say probably like 46, 47, but yeah, probably
Yeah,
like in that area.
Yeah, they were definitely in the like okay range. Shooting armies this edition don't feel the best. I think like an all shooty army. I would have to say.
You need a mix.
Yeah,
And I think because like I haven't gotten to play with Bulgrin yet or anything like that, so that'll be interesting to see if they add something that I'm missing. But I just think, yeah, no, like you need an army that's really gonna score well and be able to fight back for objectives. And if you have nothing to fight off things off an objective, you're kind of just screwed.
Yep.
So
that gives us a good transition to our other shooting army, the Tau Empire down here at 40% for their win rate. Yeah. I would say overall, crisis suits still bad. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't like them, and now they're actually feeling bad. You might have one group of them at most, so that way you can deep strike them, and then you can use the stealth suits to bring them in. But other than that, I don't think I would play with them on the board because you have to fly through over train. You can't fly through anymore, and all that. So like navigating them on the board is pretty rough. Their tanks still feel pretty good. Hammerheads, I would say, still probably one of the best models in there that they have.
Really?
Riptides, feeling all right. I would put them on like mediocre. They're just very points cost. Yuvara, way too heavy in points cost. It's the same as a Riptide, and the Riptide does more, I think. I like the Flamer on it though, so I'll take the trade. But like the ability on the Yuvara sucks compared to the Riptide's ability.
Yeah.
And I think we have a worse invul on the Yuvara. I think it's 5
the Yuvara has a 5-up
compared to a 4-up on the Riptide. So like they made it the same thing for the Arvarna, but you'll never see me take that because no one's taken it in years.
Thank God the days of 3-up invuls on those Riptides are gone.
Yep. You know what? I liked the 8th edition Nova Charge. They took that away and basically gave us one ability once per battle. You can use this now, and
yeah.
The one on the Yuvara is like move 18 inches. The one on the Riptide is like you get lethal hits or something like that. And then the one on the Arvarna is unknown because it's still garbage. We don't even need to talk about that one. Its guns are bad and its movement is bad. Everything's bad about it. We don't need to talk about it. So the Triptide lists are not going to be feeling too great. I think they need support with it. So whether that be like the Hammerhead support or maybe like the Crisis Suit bubble to be able to like fend things off, but your Crisis Suits are going to kill themselves now.
Yeah, I will say it's weird to see Tau Empire not be able to play with like a lot of their battle suits like they used to, because like I felt like that was like the whole point of the army.
Oh yeah, no, at least that's the whole point of why I built the army, and so now it's feeling bad. Like Fish of Fury though, that's a thing. Our breachers, 3-up shooting, 2-up when I what's it called? Not Overwatch.
When you
guide them. There we go. And they're feeling great. But then with a Fireblade, get an extra shot on them. I mean, 30. A group of 10 gives me 30 shots. And if you're on an objective, I get to reroll my wounds. Is stupid good. They finally made Fish of Fury back, and I can eject out of a Devilfish after advancing.
Yup.
That's good. Spend a CP to get back into them, so I could make it survive. But
that I think is insane.
The only issue I have is there is no CP generation for Tau. The one, it's on a 4-up and it's on an ethereal, and I'm still debating about not taking an ethereal because it's a 4-up.
I think any CP generation is still good. That extra CP you could get, along with if you need that CP regen, you're taking tactical objectives So if you don't get it from the 4-up, you can discard one to gain a CP there.
So
I think that's really
Necrons,
where.
I haven't been taking the character for Necrons to get the CP generation, and I think it's been playing out fine for Necrons. For Tau, it's feeling bad because the 4-up is almost like you need it because you usually don't want to pitch a secondary unless you're getting shoehorned into bad secondaries.
Yeah. I don't know.
It used to be a 2-up. There's no guaranteed like other armies have for that CP generation. Like doesn't Astro Militarum have a guarantee?
It's Lord Solaris. You have to have Lord Solaris, and he guarantees you every one of your command phase to give you an extra CP, which is super good because mixed with Creed, whatever her name is, she gives a free CP use to, and they fixed this. It used to be a free CP use on any model in the army. Now it is only regiment.
Okay.
So, which is mostly what I used it on anyways, because I'd be using it on my. She sits back and babysits the bombast field guns, and because she issues the orders, Lord Solaris will usually sit around with the other tanks and stuff like that to issue them orders. But yeah, with the free CP there, because I feel like Astra's really CP heavy, and you have to spend it wisely because otherwise your army doesn't hit as hard as it needs to.
Yep, and Tau had to play defensively with the CP. You're almost using it to where, like, if it's not a turning point of the battle, you shouldn't be using your CP, almost.
Yeah.
Because you need it to, like, protect things. Whether it be, like, to overwatch something that's going to hit you, or to suck your units back in, or to shoot, move, shoot. Or it's move, shoot, move. Sorry, it's move, shoot, move. On a jetpack unit, or something with fly, I believe. And that's 2 CP. I haven't been able to use that. I don't use it because usually CP is super, super heavy.
Yeah.
But we can go into World Eaters, which Mason has.
I actually don't. I haven't seen World Eaters play yet. So
I gotta see World Eaters play. They feel bad. Being an all melee army. This comes down to what we were talking about earlier. Being an all melee army, not having the diverse selection to be able to like have some shooting parts to you, feel bad. He took 2 Mauler Fiends, and they didn't feel good because he used them to do actions on turn 1 because of how deployments happened, and it just felt bad for his entire game because of that. So like not having any shooting parts to your army to be able to shoot someone off an objective that you might not have troops next to, just feels garbo.
Oh yeah, I mean that's not surprising. I feel like armies nowadays have to have a mix. You can't just all in on one thing, and if you are all in on one thing, you really need to all in on it and like push everything forward. You can't wishy-wash out of it. You have to be really aggressive. Like the game I played Orcs against you. I think we released that video.
Yes. Maybe. No, we haven't. That's okay. You can talk about it.
Turn 1 Wog, just for a 5-up invulnerable save to sit on points in the middle in the mid objective and just hold them, is probably the best thing you could probably do with that army. And I'm not saying it's the best thing you could, because it was Orcs versus, was it Tau?
Yep, it was Tau.
Because I knew if I didn't get up on the objectives at the beginning, he was going to shoot me in my backfield, and I wasn't going to be able to do anything. I needed that 5-up invulnerable save for a defensive strat, not just to buff my defenses. So I said, screw it. If I'm going to be doing it, I'm going to put everything on the fields, overwhelm him, and then from there, just fought him off.
Yep.
And
because as Tau, like I wanted to get you off those points because like what you could score, was it a max of 10 or 15? Can't
10.
remember that game.
It was 10 because you had to burn an objective for an extra 5.
An extra 5. That's right. I just wanted to get you off the points so I could hold them, and I could not. I tried to push up, get my breachers in there, I just couldn't get you off of them fast enough before you melt me. So.
And it was a really cool game. I won't give the outcome of that game, but
yeah,
I think it was really
cool game. Super good game.
And then the other army we have is Tyranids, but we're still kind of working on that. None of us, like John has played it, but not really played it to its full potential.
I played what we had, and you know what? Against Space Marines, they didn't feel bad. It felt a little cheesy because Space Marines, in that game, no one took any vehicles for him. I took a crap load of monsters because that's how I like playing Tyranids.
I think that's actually the meta play for Tyranids.
Yeah, big scary bugs. No one anti-tank guns feel like Fusion and Melta being strength 9 feel terrible.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely terrible. Because all it takes is, I have this monster at strength or toughness 10, and then like, my vehicle's toughness 10. Most of Tau army is toughness 9, but like for the
Yep.
most part, everyone's vehicles or monsters are like T9 or better.
Yeah.
And usually it's the latter. So just having that extra toughness, none of their guns wound me on anything good anymore. So that you could just keep them, they stay alive so much longer.
Yeah. Well, in light of that, we can probably move on to how we feel about the game in general. With 10th edition, it is a new edition still. I'm still calling it new. It's only been out for, 4 months?
Yes.
Something like that?
And with the balance data change, that was July. Like what?
Yep.
When they fixed points cost and some rulings in there.
Yep. So we still haven't found our first balance patch yet. And in the state of the game right now, how I feel like the game is, it feels good to play. There's no like outlying thing that makes me want to like, oh, this game is awful. Whereas in like the beginning of 8th and the beginning of 9th, there kind of were.
See, then you just haven't played Leagues of Votann versus a Dalaria or a Gene Stealer cult.
Well, see, we just don't do like there are outliers,
Yep.
obviously, but because I mean, like I said, my first game of 10th was Death Guard versus Adeptus Custodius.
Yep.
A very bad matchup.
Yeah, that was terrible, and I think it's an especially bad matchup for you.
But even then, the game itself doesn't feel bad. I like what they've done with simplifying it. One thing I will say that I do not like, I don't like what they've done with the fight phase. So I like the fight first stuff being just on one level, the fight last being on one level. It's really nice, makes things really not complicated. But whoever decided consolidating needed to be this goddamn complicated can die.
Yep, it's a big change. It is a big change. I think overall it is for the better, because I feel like certain armies used it as an extra movement phase.
Yeah, they needed it, especially with like World Eaters and Orcs. Like, you're meant to be in melee, you're meant to move fast in melee. Let us do that.
But with the board changing to the smaller, I don't think it needed that big of a buff, if that makes any sense. I think fighting still is good. They shouldn't have toned back the weapons. I don't think they should have hit the weapons as hard.
Yeah. I will say this. I don't mind Pylon the way Pylon is, because that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But if
I think consolidate makes sense to me too.
I do not like the fact that my consolidation move has to end me in base contact.
If it can.
I feel like a consolidation, well, it's either in base contact or more onto a point. And if you can't do either, you can't move. I don't like that. I feel like consolidation is a repositioning tactic after a fight to get your group back together. You should be able to move up the board and not have those restrictions. I do think that consolidating, if they want to make it to where, like, if you really have to think it, if you can end in base contact, you must, sure. Mm-hmm. But if there's nothing near me, I should just be able to move my 3 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just give me my 3-inch movement. If there's nothing in range, just let me move.
It actually makes the game go by faster, I think, without that 3-inch, because then you don't have to shuffle things constantly. Oh, my fight's done. I'm not within range. Cool. Next.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it going forward. I understand your complaints, though. They're very valid.
It's just so
your
frustrating.
Army depends on it, especially like Death Guard being so slow. Certain armies just, if you don't have that 3 inches of movement, you don't move ever.
Also, backtracking a bit, whoever said that Death Guard Terminators have to move 4 inches, go fuck yourself. Fuck you and your mom. That's me being a little mad. Anyways.
I think your whole army should have moved 4 inches and called it good.
They might as well at this point.
Yeah, take no minuses. Move 4. Oh.
Like, I don't know. Anyway, that is off.
Or maybe your toughness should be like doubled if you move less than half of your movement.
We'd still be in this situation because we couldn't score.
I know. I'm not saying it'd be any better.
But yeah, no, that's frustrating. I will say I love the terrain changes. I like that there's not anything that really gives you minuses to move. So that's awesome to me. There's no -1 to hit on the board anymore. That's awesome.
Correct. It kills armies.
Yep. I will say I like how they're doing cover now. It makes a lot of sense.
I like plunging
And
fire. Oh,
I think plunging fire is awesome, except for the fact it's almost never used.
that's because too many tournaments don't play with third floor buildings.
And you can't make a first floor more than 5 inches off the ground because then you can't charge them
True that, as well as then most units couldn't get up to it if it was more than 5 inches.
without advancing.
Yeah, without advancing. That's a big thing
So
too. Maybe they should.
so
Maybe they should have just made it second floor. What are your thoughts on that?
anything? No, okay. So if you were to change it to where anything 5 inches or higher off the ground gets an extra AP, I don't think there would be any shooting armory in the game that doesn't just sit in buildings.
That's true. That has because like you can't put big things in buildings anymore.
Correct.
The rule can't overhang on a floor.
Oh, we can talk about that too in a second.
Oh yeah, but like I feel like if it was 5 inch, because like if we play with boarded up windows, second floors might still be boarded up on some of them. It might be on specific terrain. Like if you put it in the middle of the board, that would be big. Like oh yeah, you could sacrifice your forward movement to get the extra AP, or you can go up a floor. And then maybe someone charges you underneath of it, like you know what I mean, rather than moving away from the building. Like it'd be cute, cool.
I don't think it would be. It would be a lot more terrain dependent with that too.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, the fact that you can't, if your base doesn't fully fit on a piece of terrain, and it can't stand, so they got rid of the wobbly model issue. You go fuck yourself. That makes so many second floor and third floors impossible to stand on.
Yeah, because they're all ruined. I don't think I've ever seen a 40K building that has a second floor that isn't like you can't get to the first floor, so like it isn't a solid building. It's always ruined.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
I will also say that there are some things that just shouldn't, like. Actually, I think me and you played this wrong in last week, John. You had your not obliterators, your big shooty boys for Necrons.
Yep.
On top of a wall that they couldn't be on because your base wouldn't fit.
See, how do you want to play that? Because I'm technically there, and our walls suck.
Like, we didn't correct it in the game.
Yeah. I don't think that's a problem, though, right? Do you think that was a problem?
No, I don't think so.
I was inside the wall. Yes, I wasn't touching the floor all the way, but like, I don't know. I wasn't like trying to balance on the edge of it.
Well, I mean, your base overhung a lot, is what I'm saying, from both sides.
No, yeah, the models were definitely tipped, but they didn't overhang on the. They were inside both of the walls. If that makes any sense.
No.
I'm looking at the train right now. So there's a wall on each side of the train.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And I was in both of the walls, but I was not setting flat.
Yeah.
So I believe you're correct. I can't set the model there.
Yeah.
But I think it should have been.
I mean, it played out the way it did. It was fine.
Yeah, I don't think it was a problem because it's like you could still charge me underneath. I needed it for movement to be because I can't move through the wall. It's some weird garbage too.
Yeah, that's one rule that I feel like needs to go away. If you can set a model up and it stays sitting there, it'll be fine.
100%
because
agreed.
It makes some things really weird, like standing on top of crates. You can fit like 2 models on those now.
Yeah, well, our crates specifically. Our crates are like a normal crate would be like 2 of ours right next to it.
Yeah,
but
it's just one of those. It's like, come on, like my guy can fit up there. It's a base size. You have a 32mm base on a dude with 2 feet.
Yep,
he can stand up there.
I don't think any of us are going to complain about it, but like I could definitely see that in a tournament. Like, oh,
yeah,
you're not on this ruin because that ruin has a fucking hole right in the middle of the thing. You can't stand there, and you're like, well, that splits my entire unit in half, type thing.
I will say, I think the way to counteract that is on big buildings, just that your floors are solid, just having solid floors.
Yep, can't have cool ruined floors.
Yeah, you can't have cool looking things anymore, but whatever, I guess. It's just that's annoying, but it is what it is. You kind of just have to take the good with the bad. That is just a design flaw, I think, for the game in general. But overall, I think the game is in a good spot. Yeah,
I would feel it wasn't as balanced as ending of 9th, but it's definitely feels better overall playing, I think.
Yeah.
Just like with the normal rules, because the bloat is down. This is probably the best time to get into Warhammer before the bloat comes back.
Yes, I would agree.
I've been trying to tell our other friends who play on the side with us to come and join, because this is the time to enjoy it
Yeah,
before it
and all
becomes
the rules are free.
ridiculous again. Correct.
You
Oh,
can
that
play
was a
this
big
game.
change.
You can play this game completely free right now.
That
Well,
is
not
a big
completely free.
change.
You have to buy models, but everything
Well, you
outside of
could
that,
proxy if you really wanted to.
yeah, but
Like
you can
piece of
play the
paper.
game completely free, which is super awesome. And I hope they continue to do this. But I do think that they're going to be bringing back codexes, and you're going to have to pay for codexes. I don't think they're going to release a free codex online.
Yep, and that app's gonna go to charging you $7 a month.
Is it $7 a month?
It was for the old one, so I'm assuming it'd be for the new one.
Yeah, I don't know how that's all going to work out, but we'll see. We'll see how that all ends up playing out. I do like GW's Army Builder.
Yeah.
John,
And
I
then-
know, has some conflicts with it, but I like it.
Oh, so how you build armies? Yeah, so it got very, very simple. And I think that's
Yeah.
part of the problem I have with it. There's no more fun, in-depth way of like, oh, I have 10 points left, and what do I put in my list? I already have my 3 enhancements. Yeah, I can't put anything in that list.
Yeah,
There's 10 points that I'm just gonna be gone forever.
The pushing it towards the point values of like Age of Sigmar and stuff like that, how they're doing that
Or point
is really
levels
annoying.
or power level now for all
Yeah.
those who played before.
I will say that I still think it's a bit more flexible than power level, but yes, it is the same veins.
Yeah.
I do want to see that changed. I think they need to go back to charging for individual things. They might do it in codexes when codexes come out, but that'd really screw over some armies when they get codexes and other ones don't have it.
You do realize, I'm sorry, I'm going to circle back. You do realize power level is the exact same thing as what they did to us as points.
Yeah, it's
the
but
same.
I still think it's more flexible now because you can.
You used to be able to take less in your units to get less power level, and that's what we have now.
No. I'm saying no, it's the exact same. I think this is more balanced though because you can't adjust points so finely.
Yeah, they definitely spent more work on this.
So, but in that thing, I don't like it either as much. I do like how easy it is to build an army, but you have to. There's so much thought now that has to go into it because there's almost nothing that is low points.
Correct.
Like I think the cheapest thing I have is like 40 points.
Yep, I think that's about the standard. It's about 40 points is the cheapest.
That's really rough to fit into an army. Like if like, oh, I have 20 points. What am I going to do here? And it's like, yeah, you can put an enhancement on something, but half the time that enhancement's not going to do anything. There's no point in spending it, so you have to adjust other units to really figure that out. I really want my individuality back to where I can adjust things myself.
Yeah. I'm not saying it has to be going back down to a model. I think it should be like power level with what weapons there are on them, if that makes any sense. So like if you have mixed weapons, it's this points cost. If you have this weapon, it's this point cost, and if it's this weapon, it's this point cost for each set. I understand that would make it a little bit more complex, but that's where it would come down to how you actually balance out weapons. Like the Wraith Knight in Eldar is like a staple right now. It's the thing that with the big D cannons with towering, so you can't hide from it, and it just one-shots whatever it can, because you give it auto 6, and it does like what, D6 plus something mortal wounds to you. Like it has a sword variant. You know what's never gonna get taken, especially if it goes up in point cost? The sword variant.
See, I agree. I think it needs to go back to the models have specific costs. Yes, you can go, hey, you have to have this many number of models in a unit to a maximum of this. No, like, variations. You can't have 11 models instead of 10. I'm fine with that. But I do think that weapons do need to have their own points cost so that, yes, they can balance those out a little bit better.
Yeah. And just have, like, them posted with the rest of the point cost. Like, they have 3 numbers, and then it's, like, each weapon on it. I understand Space Marines have, like, 1 billion weapons, so it's going to be super hard for certain factions. There could probably be a better way of doing it, but, like, I don't know. That's how I feel about that.
I agree. It's frustrating when it comes to all that, and you just don't feel like you can actually take things that aren't as good, because if you don't take the best stuff, you're not getting all your points values out of things.
Yep.
But that is what it is, really, on that. It's not enough for me to gripe about. It's not gonna make me stop playing the game by any means.
Oh yeah.
But so like I said, I think this edition's done pretty well, and I think we're just about out of time, John.
Oh yeah. Well, so how do you want to wrap this up?
I would say thanks, guys, for listening to the first episode. If you guys like it, let us know. follow us on YouTube. If you're listening to this on any other platforms, it's at Basement Battles for YouTube. We stream 40K and other tabletop games whenever we can get around to it.
Yep, and we'll also be posting this onto YouTube with our video of like what I would say it's like a PowerPoint, maybe not PowerPoint.
It's 2 slides.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you'll be able to find us on YouTube. Hopefully we can figure out, we want to put it on Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other streaming platforms if we can manage it. I don't really know how much work that's going to be, but we'll figure something out. So
Yes,
I just want to say thanks for watching, guys, or thanks for listening, I guess. We'll see you guys next time.